Welcome, Legendo. This is ASKA. It's an early access game, currently in, I think, version 1.0. Essentially, this is a survival game with some quirks that you can play solo or with up to 3 friends. In a nutshell, you will be collecting loads of stuff, crafting, unlocking skills along the way to build your Viking village full of NPCs that are there to try and help you weather the seasons and the enemies that might attack. So you'll have things like chopping down trees, pretty normal for a survival game. Get your wood from these places, sticks from bushes, etc. You'll have other things like breaking stone. I mean, it's the fundamentals of every survival game, right? Or more or less every that we know well. The mechanics overall are going to be very similar. It's going to feel familiar. This land is a Viking land, so imagine it almost like a Valheim with nicer looking graphics. But the gameplay and the whole point of you surviving is slightly different. Each world is procedurally generated, so anytime you start a new one, it's going to be different. So your experiences will differ. The basics will be the same, but the exploration and adventure, and potentially some of the enemies you'll find along the way, should be different. Most of them will be the same, but you may find some new ones that you maybe didn't discover in your last try. So there is some replayability there for anybody that's really addicted to it and is loving the gameplay. You've got some cheeky little things here, kind of when you start making your base, your first base, kind of learning the ropes as it were to get somewhere that's like a rain collector so you can have some fresh water. I did find that I was thirsty quite a lot, otherwise you have to collect it from these little stones you find on the floor. These little glyph things help you understand what you should be doing next, which is quite a nice touch because it's kind of in the world. It holds on to that sort of mythical feel to the game. You're going to make things like campfires. But what's interesting about this game and some other survivals is it's not just a case of having a part and putting it down. You have a blueprint for stuff like you've seen a few times there. You put the blueprint down, and then if you've got the resources, great, you can crack on and finish it up. If you haven't, then you have to go find them, collect them, put them together. If anybody has played the Lego Fortnite survival, you'll probably see it from the building mode in there. Similar, you have a blueprint of stuff, you put it together, but you'll need certain resources to do certain parts. Overall, I think the UI, all the feel of the game is pretty top-notch overall. Can't say it does anything that I find particularly new or like, wow, this is game-changing, but it seems to do things just well, and it is enjoyable. You'll have a good time, and for under 20 quid, absolute bargain. Right now, in the March sales on Steam, you can get it for about £13 in the UK. It's normally about 21, I think, top listing, so even at that, it's not crazy. And you might find it in places like CD Keys. If not now, then soon, once it gets out of early access. And you're going to make things like this. A shelter, your first shelter before you get into village building. The build up is quite slow, especially solo. If you've got your friends with you to be able to go out, grab the resources whilst you're maybe upgrading things, you're going to find it faster. So I would highly encourage co-op gameplay in this game just to speed things up a bit, especially in the beginning. And overall, once you get a village built with your NPCs and a bunch of friends to help go out, protect, explore, the gameplay just feels more fluid. There you go. We have a shelter. And it is a magnificent shelter, if I do say so myself. The downside is, I guess, although it could be an upside. One downside for some people is, oh, I can't customize things, you know, like Valheim. I can kind of build what I want. That's great. That's fantastic. This game isn't really about that. It's probably more for anybody that isn't into that as much and just wants to kind of go out, do a bit of resourcing, put things down where they want them and crack on. And they maybe don't love that kind of building aspect of the other games. In those games, they're the ones that will build the square houses and just crack on. They want to go out and explore more than come back and spend ages and hours building, which is fine. And I think for anybody that does like building, this will scratch enough of an itch to get you going. Certainly, you might become the resource maker, or at least you'll go out and get the resources and then maybe build some of this. But you're never going to get that feel, unless they update it. You're not going to get the same feel as something like a Valheim, where you can kind of fine-tune what you're building and come up with some weird and wonderful things. Same with Enshrouded. You know, that the way they use their technology to leverage, you've been able to build and create holes and all sorts of crazy stuff. You're not going to get this here. This is a much more, it's almost like vanilla version of a survival game that you can just kind of build the basics of what you need and build a village. You have the NPC side of things, which you don't have in the other two. Eventually, so you kind of at some point with Lost Light here, you'll start to recruit some people, and over time you'll get to build up your village. And now, once you've built all those bits in the Eye of Odin, you can fill it up with these bits that you've picked up, hopefully along the way, to kind of power it and allow you to then start looking at creating some villages to come and work for you and do some of the hard work that you don't want to do anymore because you've done it all and you're sick of it. And what you'll notice there, between the two that you get options of, they have slightly different attributes. That will change every gameplay. Pick the ones you want, and I believe you can skill them up along the way. And now, we get to rest our little heads after all that really hard work. You do get some buffs. Have a look. They're all in yellow. And that yellow diamond, once that gets completed, you'll get some extra Odin strength. Getting to here probably took around about an hour. I've obviously trimmed it down for your viewing pleasure. But my friends, that is it for today's video. If you like it, drop a like. If you've got some ideas of what you want to see next, maybe drop a comment below. Come check us out live, mostly over on Twitch, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 PM GMT time. See you in there. Ciao for now.